So this is a chapter that has 35 verses. It's a very technical chapter. It's very like philosophical. Was it addressed? So what are the 6 questions that Arjun is asking Krishna in this chapter? What are the, yeah, you can tell me. Can raise your hand and tell me. 6 questions that Arjun is asking Krishna to clarify. And what makes Arjun ask those questions? I don't want to spend hours and hours in revising what you've already done. So Kirti Mataji, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Arjuna asks about the two Ks, two Ps, and two Js. That's how I remember Mataji. So, Kshetra and Kshetrajna, Jnana and Neyam, and the two Ps, Purusha and Prakriti Mataji.
Okay, what makes Arjun ask this question?
Because in the 12th chapter, he's explaining about Bhakti Yoga Mataji. And so to make it more clear for his understanding, he's asking for our understanding, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? What makes Arjun ask these questions to Krishna? What is the link between chapter 12 and chapter 13? Can explain me. I think this is one of your questions in closed book exam. Is it? Am I audible? Because then everybody is like so silent, and I think only Anvya Mataji and Nikhil Prabhu have a camera on. I cannot even like understand what's going on.
We can hear you, Mataji, yes.
Thank you. All right, so first part of the chapter, there are 3 sections, right? We divided for understanding first 6, middle 6, and last 6. Prabhupada explains this in this chapter. First 6, what is explained is the spirit soul. Okay, and how the spirit soul can be linked to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by virtue of fruitive activities, knowledge, and then introduction to devotional services given. Okay, now middle 6th chapter, which is considered as cream, is directly linked to defining, of course, it continues who super soul is, who soul is, and also is very focused on the bhakti yoga or pure devotional service. Last 6 chapters is again reverting back to knowledge and then perfection of knowledge, which is bhakti yoga. So do you do this, that if the bhakti is a culmination, why Gyan is presented in the last 6 chapters? You guys did this. Yes?
Yes, Mataji.
So why is Gyan presented in the last 6 chapters? Who can tell me? I'll choose now. Who will tell me? Sharanya Mataji, what makes Krishna talk about Gyan again in the last 6 chapters? If bhakti is the culmination, why Gyan is coming again? So understanding of the understanding is that we don't need to read again. We understood. It's there. Huh. Sharanya Mataji. Okay. Linit Prabhu. Sharanya Mataji, you're messaging me, but Hare Krishna to you too, but answer the question. Yes, Linit Prabhu, what do you think? It's okay to be wrong. Huh.
Mataji, one of the reasons why is because bhakti is the most secretive, and bhakti is the most important thing. That's why it is wrapped between karma and jnana. And the other reason why is because Krishna wants to tell Arjuna that whatever you do, whether you do karma or whether you do jnana, you have to end up with bhakti itself. So he wants to give him knowledge of everything, but finally, so that he realizes that bhakti is more important.
Okay, thank you. So I'll take the first part of your answer. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Prabhupada explains this, that if it is a diamond jewel and the jewel is like kept in a box, so the first 6 chapter presents the top of the lid, the middle 6 chapter represents the jewel itself, And the last 6 chapter represents the bottom of the box. Okay, but the other part, okay, anyone else? I'm not
Can
keeping
I,
back.
Mataji?
Yes,
Speak?
Mataji. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
If the knowledge without bhakti is useless,
Mhm.
okay, and though bhakti is independent, for the perfection of bhakti, you need knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Perfection of bhakti, you need knowledge.
I mean, bhakti is independent,
Ah,
but still, some knowledge is required. You can't
okay. Yeah,
immediately.
I agree. But so much knowledge, the 13th chapter is some knowledge or so much knowledge? I agree. I think 13th chapter is so much knowledge. You know how many times every time I read a chapter, I'm like, oh, what is this? Yes. Okay. What? Yes, Nikhil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So in the 12th chapter, Krishna's, gives a promise that he will deliver his devotees from the cycle of, from the path of birth and death and all. But, that promise, is fulfilled by giving this knowledge. He says, you do bhakti, but he supplies all the philosophical knowledge and, all the necessary for us to come out of this cycle of birth and death. When we say bhakti is in the middle, the Prabhu earlier explained the entire Bhagavad Gita is talks about bhakti.
Correct.
Entire, it's not the middle one. The first one is through karma, the middle one is exactly the bhakti, but then the knowledge how to do that bhakti comes in the last 6 chapters.
Very nice. Okay. Thank you. So, first 6 chapter, it's how to achieve bhakti through work. Middle 6 chapter, bhakti itself directly. And you said that chapter 12, Krishna himself says that he will deliver his devotees from birth and death. So, last 6 chapter provide philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from the complexities of the material world. So Gyan has its use in assisting our detachment from Maya and attachment to Krishna. So one has to have this goal. What happens with Mayavadis and that they forget this goal, and they are very much, they're very much like allured by the knowledge itself. They forget the goal of knowledge, but just by allured by the knowledge itself, that, oh, we are so knowledgeable. Now we have Brahma Gyan. Okay. So we use knowledge as means to attain devotion. It becomes a part of bhakti. So knowledge in itself is, as Anya Mataji was saying, is useless unless and until it is used for increasing our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what is the answer for, tell me very quickly, I will take the names. Ambika Mataji, please tell me what is the answer for Kshetra. What is Kshetra?
The
Quickly,
field of activity. The field of activities, Mataji, the body.
Very nice. And what is the constitution of the body? Ambika Mataji, finish the Kshetra question. What's the constitution of the body?
The body is made of matter that is it is made from material nature.
Arre yaar. You said the 24 elements. I was expecting the answer.
Oh, 24 elements. Yeah, Mataji. That is the 5 working senses. The
No,
5
you don't have
knowledge
to go into
acquiring.
detail as long as you understand what those 24 elements are. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Who hasn't? Shiva Srinivas Prabhuji, what is Kshetragna? Quickly, you have to move ahead. Hare Krishna, Shiva Srinivas Prabhuji. Okay, Anvya Mataji, can you please tell what is Kshetragna?
Yeah, there are 2 Kshetrajñas residing in the body.
No,
They are the knower of the body.
Kshetragna?
Knower of the body. Okay, so there are 2 Kshetrajñas, the soul and the super soul, which reside within the heart.
What is the difference?
The soul is the Jivatma and super soul is the Paramatma. So you want the soul knows only, has a knowledge about the body, and super soul has knowledge about all the living entities or all the kshetras.
Very nice. I think we studied about knowledge. Nikhil, thank you, Mataji. Nikhil, what is Gyan?
The knowledge and the process of the acquiring knowledge.
What is Gyanam then?
Gyanam is the object of knowledge.
So what is knowledge?
Knowledge is to understand, and the process of acquiring the knowledge of the if we say ourselves, Krishna, the source of our Jivatma.
Come again. I lost you a little bit.
The originator,
Knowledge is?
knowledge and the process of acquiring knowledge, that is the Gyan part. And if it talks about what is the object is to know Krishna.
हाँ, पर knowledge की definition परिभाषा क्या होती है? What is knowledge? When Arjun is asking what is knowledge, what is Krishna saying? What is knowledge?
Can I, Mataji?
No. He also needs to know. Everybody needs to know. I'm not because it reflects what am I doing here. So it's okay. You don't know, you don't know, but it's totally fine. This is a very safe place to commit any kind of mistake.
Knowledge.
We can even
Gyan is definition of Gyan is the knowledge and the process of the acquiring knowledge. So that's the process that is mentioned. Object is definitely the Gyanam is the object of knowledge, which is definitely Krishna.
Krishna says one verse. I want you to read this. He says, "This is all I consider as knowledge, and everything else is."
13.8 to 12, I think. Mataji.
Yeah.
Manitvam, Damritvam.
So, Prabhu, knowledge, Krishna explains. I'm just trying to see where it went. That
Out of 13.8.
so knowledge is okay. Let me give chance to Kirti Mataji. You would like to say, Kirti Mataji, what is knowledge?
What I've written down is he explains the 20 elements of knowledge, Mataji, which includes humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance.
What is knowledge?
Okay, knowledge is actually the knowledge of the material body and of its knowers, the soul and the super soul.
Yes. So that is knowledge. Okay. Now, so knowledge, the definition of Gyan, when Arjun is saying, Krishna, what is Gyan? So इसे ज्ञान है, वो संस्कृत में बोल रहे हैं तो हम इंग्लिश में बोलते हैं नॉलेज, वो नहीं है. ज्ञान और नॉलेज सिनोनिमस है ना डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज में. मगर व्हाट इज द परिभाषा, व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन इज दैट द knowing kshetra and kshetragna and the difference between the two. That is knowledge. Okay, I think, yeah. So what verse did we do the knowable? I want to know the sequence of the verses because this is if you understand this chapter, every other chapter from here on is going to be easy to go back to. Because if you go to 14th chapter, 15th chapter, 16th, 17th, all these chapters, you refer back to 13th chapter. 13th chapter is actually very deep. So tell me, did we do Gyanam? I think we did Gyanam too, right? Knowable. Let me just go back and look at my cheat sheet. So did we do the Gyanam? Hare Krishna. Krishna answers question number 5, Gyanam. Yeah, you did. So 13 to 19, Krishna answers question number 6, the object of knowledge. Yeah, you did now. 19 verse that you have all read. So what is Gyanam? If you know what is Gyanam, you can answer what is Gyanam. Gyanam, who will answer? Tell me. Is Shiva Srinivas Prabhu back? Shiva Srinivas Prabhuji, can you please tell me what is the meaning of the word Gyanam? Linit Prabhuji, what is the meaning of the word Genam?
Where, Mataji?
Prabhu, your voice is so feeble. Is it only feeble for me or everyone else?
Mataji wants.
For all of us.
अच्छा शुक्र है वरना okay. Anvaya Mataji, what is Genam?
Genam is to understand Paramatma, or the object of knowledge is Paramatma, super
What
soul.
is only super soul?
To
You're
know
right.
the relation between the soul and the super soul. To know the super soul means you will also know the relation between the Jivatma and Paramatma.
Yes, so very nice. So definition of Genam, let me open and show you. Definition of Genam is explained in definition of Genam is explained in verse number 13. Okay. So the first sentence or the second sentence itself, it is given that what is Genam? Genam means knowable, right? Genam means knowable. So here it says, no, now I shall now explain the knowable. So here he says, now he begins. So the Lord has explained the field of activities, the knower of the field of activities. He has also explained the process of knowing, the knower of the field of activities. Now he begins to explain the knowable, first the soul and then the super soul. And why? What is the importance? By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the super soul, one can relish nectar of life. Okay, so you have to understand why Krishna explains what he explains. So what is Genam? Again, Anya Mataji. I got it, Srinivas Prabhu. What is Genam, Anya Mataji?
Yeah, it is to know the soul and the super soul.
And what is the importance of knowing the soul and the super soul?
That you will be, liberated from this cycle of birth and death.
एक बात कहना चाहती हूँ मैं कि you're not wrong, you're not wrong, but this is not the perfection. You see, liberation from the cycle of birth and death is a byproduct of achieving bhakti to Krishna. It's a byproduct. It's not the aim.
So, to be the eternal servitor of Krishna.
Yes, very nice. And then here Prabhupada is also writing, one can relish the nectar of life, which is to become a devotee of Krishna. That's the nectar of life, right? Yes, you're right. You're right. All the things you said is right, but if you can just add on few other things. Okay. Now, what are the verses which explains the super soul? So soul and the super soul. What are the verses between 13 to 19 which explain the soul? Are you reading or you're not reading? All of you. So long, no scolding.
We are reading, Mataji.
Mellow. Yeah, Pranchitana Prabhu is very, very, very like loving teacher. I am the one with the stick. What verses explain super soul? From between 13 to 19. What verses are explaining the super soul?
Mataji, 14th verse, where they're explaining the inconceivable
14 to
17.
18.
Anyone else? Thank you for trying.
14 to 18, Mataji.
Tukke maarte jaogi, yeah, but the Tukka is right now, 14 to 18. Yes. 14 to 18 verse explains the soul, because super soul. And we need to know because a lot of words are repeated in explaining soul and super soul, like Brahman. Okay. So Krishna, you heard this. That's the field of activities, the body, knowledge. We understood this, right? Any doubt? Read it again. Field of activities, which is Kshetra, knowledge, which is Gyan, knowable, which is Gyanam, have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. So, qualification to understand Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Gyan, and Gyanam, fully understood by devotees. Mad Bhakta. Kshetra means field of activity. Kshetrajna means knower of the field of activity. Gyan means knowledge of the Kshetra and Kshetragna. And process of acquiring knowledge is, what is the process of acquiring knowledge in Gyan? Gyanam means object of knowledge. Okay. So knowledge means understanding oneself in Krishna consciousness and realizing Krishna in everything. Knowledge is nothing but preliminary stage of understanding devotional service perfectly. Vigyan. This is explained in this verse. Prabhupada explains Vigyan in, this is called Vigyan. One second, I just read it. Which verse explains Vigyan? I know we know 19th.
In the purport that's given from the second line, this knowledge of three things, the knower, the knowable, and the process of knowing combined, these are called Vijnan.
The process of knowledge, knowable, and
Knower.
knower. So knower is the soul and super soul. Knower is, who is the knower? Soul is a knower, super soul is a knower. Knowable, we have to know who soul is, super soul is, process of knowing. Combine these are called Vigyan, or the science of knowledge. Very nice. Science of
Mataji,
knowledge.
what is
Knower,
the
knowable.
process you are asking?
You tell me. Krishna explains this. He gives reference to cause and effect, that difficult verse.
That is in
Where,
30.5.
yes. So process is like the Krishna explains, and we go back to the verse.
That field of the activities and the knower of the activities is described by various sages in the various Vedic
Yes.
writing. It is especially presented in the Vedanta Sutra with all the reasoning as to cause and effect.
Yes, this is the process. Okay. So field of activities and knower of activities is described. So as to reasoning is to cause and effect. So this is a very complex topic, but Prabhupada has very simplified it for us, the cause and effect. So how I understand, I'm not a very big scholar, but how I understand is like the cause is always present in the effect.
Yes.
Right. So cause is, any question about that? Cause is always present in the effect.
No.
You don't have. Anyone else has? Yes. Nikhil
I
Prabhu.
couldn't understand cause is always the effect means.
For example, if somebody has a child, there's the effect, right? There's the end result, the child. For example, this is a crude example. So the DNA of the parent is present in the child. So the cause is present in the effect. Like that. So our cause is Krishna. So Krishna has Satchidanand Vigraha properties. They're present in the effect. They're present in us, not in the same manner, but they're present. Okay, so how are we part and parcel of Krishna is the effect. Understood?
How
Not
are
understood.
we part and parcel? Okay.
So cause and effect. So for example, okay, I'll give, this is a theoretical example, okay, not from Shastras, but I think this will make things easier. Somebody is a criminal, okay, they did a crime. So that's the effect of, right, effect of committing a crime is to become a criminal or to get a punishment. But what was the cause? The cause was that I did the crime. So the cause of crime is present in the effect of crime. And
We lost you. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, it's Mataji's internet. I guess we have to wait.
Hare Krishna, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Am I back or am I still not there?
We can hear you now, Mataji.
Acha, I'm sorry, I don't know. what happened? So did you understand? I personally like the example of cause and effect in the sense that the traits of the parents are present in the child. The child is the effect, the parents are the cause, like that. Okay, so if I am part and parcel of Krishna, I'm the effect, cause is Krishna. How cause is Krishna is explained in all the Vedanta sutras with all reasoning as to cause and effect. This is explained in the last paragraph of this verse. Some of the sutras or aphorisms are na vyad ashrutehe. Na vyad ashrutehe, Prabhupada explains, the first aphorism indicates the field of activities. Na atma shrutehe, the second indicates the living entity. Parat tu tach shrutehe, the third indicates the Supreme Lord, the summoned woman. Okay, so how is Krishna connected? Krishna explains this cause and effect throughout Bhagavad Gita. There's nothing new about it, nothing. He says, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharachara hetu nanena kantaya jagat viparivartate, right? Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Aham bija pradapitaha. I am the seed-giving father, or under my supervision, this material nature is producing moving and non-moving living entities. And he keeps on explaining, or I am also living in every body as a super soul, but I am the supreme knower, you are the limited knower. He's telling cause and effect everywhere. Okay, why did we discuss this? Just because. So knowable and the process of knowing. Okay, this came from process of knowing. So the conclusion is explain the soul and super soul. And super soul is the ultimate object to be known. Because everything else depends on the presence of the super soul. At least at this level. Eventually we will realize that even the presence of super soul is dependent on Krishna. But at least at this level, everything is dependent on the super soul. Now in these verses, we'll see how many verses we can do today. Krishna is going to go back and answer Prakriti, Purush, and the union, or what is the connection between the two. These are very fascinating verses. Krishna explains Prakriti, Purush, and their union in these verses. I wish I had written the Sanskrit, because the Sanskrit is so nice. Can I go back to this and then we can read the verse from here and then do this, and next time I will edit my slides. So Prakritim Purusham cha eva vidhi anadi ubhav api. Vikarams cha gunams chaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. What does it mean? Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Anadi ubhav api. Okay, they're beginningless. What is beginningless? Prakriti and living entity. Prakriti Purusham. Their transformation and modes of matter are products of material nature. Who can explain this? Who can explain this? Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Kirti Mataji, try.
I'm just trying to look at the purport, Mataji. Just
No.
one moment.
Close all the books. This is really a disrespect to everybody. If you all, if you किताबी पढ़नी है तो class में क्यों बैठे हो? No, I'm not scolding you. Huh? Don't take it personally. I'm making a very rational statement. If you go to a class, you take the points on the class and then go back and study again. No, don't you think that'll be more impactful? You can read your notes if you have made notes from the purport, but reading the whole purport in the class is gonna not help. You know, I was reading on paper the other day, a few months ago actually. This is this paper from medicine. It says, we think multitasking is possible. But this person from neurology, he concluded that multitasking is a myth. I said, how multitasking is a myth? That because our brain can only process one thing at a time. So what we are doing is like we are doing a little bit of one thing and then we are pausing it, and then we do a little bit of other thing, then we pause that, and we do a little bit of one thing, we pause that. So the question was raised in that in the document that is it healthy? Is it healthy? That eventually it leads to shorter attention span. It leads to increased anxiety, and it also leads to a lot of unfinished work and sleep disturbances. I was like, oh my gosh. So since then, I'm like, multitasking is a myth. Even my personal life, I say, oh, I can actually wash the dishes, I can cook, I can also make my children study, I can also clean at the same time. You know, a little bit of everything. Urmila Mataji talks about a book from the secular world. It's called as Power of Focus. I mean, we know this from Bhagavad Gita, but she says Power of Focus. Now, don't go and buy the book. There's no need, because but you can look at the excerpt that if you focus on one thing at a time, then the mind can do wonders. Mataji, try. Iti Mataji, I know you can do it. That's why I asked you. Material nature and living entities should be understood to be beginningless. What does it mean?
Mataji, maybe it means to say that, we are, of course, spiritual. Even the material nature is created by Krishna. So, even if it ends again, it will have another beginning after, the annihilation and everything. So maybe that is the reason he's trying to say that they're understood to be beginningless. I'm sure it is wrong, Mataji, but
No, it's actually, you're right that, okay, there's no something that is coming from Krishna is beginningless, because we cannot trace the history from our mathematical calculation. So it is manifested, and then it is unmanifested, but that doesn't mean that it is like dead and gone. And the example given is, if you want to draw the allegory, the example given in the Shastras is of the sun. The sun manifests in the daytime and then unmanifests in the nighttime, but that doesn't mean it's dead and gone. It's just out of our vision. Like that, the material nature and living entity should be understood to be beginningless. So it's not that I am in this body and this is my date of birth and this will be my date of death, so I'm gone. No, it's manifested. Okay, the body, the kshetra is given right now to me as a soul. And then the kshetra will be taken away, but I continue as a soul to another kshetra. Okay, but then their transformation and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Linit Prabhu, what does that mean? Their transformations and the modes of matter are the products of material nature. You are muted.
Um,
Try.
no, Mataji, it doesn't mean that because because the body is continuously transforming from birth and then to youth, then old age, and then death. Everything is happening because of the forces of material nature. So is that why it's called products of material nature?
Can you repeat the first sentence again, please?
Because the human body is continuously transforming from youth to then from birth, youth, then old age and death. And all of that is happening because of the forces of material nature. So is that why it's called products of material nature?
So yeah, that's true for one lifespan. Yes, but then we are also changing species. That is we're also changing from Jalaja, Navlakhani, Sthavari, Dakhi, what is the verses? So why is, if the soul is of the same quality, okay, it's the same quality, what makes it to have different species? Why is some soul having a body of a tiger, another one is having a body of a dolphin, another one is having a body of a, I don't know, a bird, a cow? Why? Because of the
Is it because the different desires that they have at the time of death, the souls?
So the modes of matter, right? Yeah, whatever mode of matter we are associating with, we get into that particular state of being at the physical level. And this is all happening and by the products which are supplied by the material nature. So the material nature is supplying earth, water, air, fire, ether, right? And even the modes of nature are coming from the material nature in a way, under supervision of Krishna. And then we are deciding, I want to associate with mode of ignorance. Okay, then become an animal. You understood? एक
Yes,
कंपनी
Mataji.
में एक सप्लायर होता है और एक मैन्युफैक्चरर होता है ना? So supplier is the material nature, prakriti. Purusha is the receiving end of the supply, based on what we are trying to do. Is it clear? It shouldn't be so complex. And Shiva Srinivas Prabhu wrote in the chat, they both are coexisting with the Lord, as both are energies of Lord, external and internal. Yeah, that is also true. That is also nice, because the living entity in the human form of life is a special prerogative, because now it is at the margin, whether it can go in the internal nature or external nature. But here, Prakriti is external nature, which is material nature, not spiritual nature. Okay. Now, this is the answer, that this is, here it is a statement given. Krishna is so nice. You see, that here he is saying that the transformation and the modes of matter are products of material nature. But in this verse, he's saying that what is the cause of that transformation? What is the cause? Karya karanam kartitva. Karya means cause. Hetu prakriti uchyate. Purusha sukha dukha nam bhoktartritva hetur uchyate. Nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Chalo bhai, who will explain this? Who hasn't? Okay, Ambika Mataji, can you try to explain the first part? Nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects.
Hare Krishna Mataji, when we are in a particular body, then we have to act according to the laws of nature pertaining to that particular body. For example, if we are in the body of a tiger, then we will be acting like a tiger only. We cannot act like a human. So according to the laws of material nature, our activities will be determined.
Okay,
and how we get that body.
That's it. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Nikhil Prabhu, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Can you please explain this? Is he still there?
Mataji, sorry, I couldn't get the question.
Please explain the second part. Purusha sukha dukkha nam bhokter hetu ruchyate. Purusha is a living entity. Sukha dukkha nam is the cause of bhokter or enjoyer. Purusha is the enjoyer of sukha and dukkha, hetu ruchyate, and the cause. So cause of various sufferings and enjoyment in this world is a living entity. What does it mean?
Yeah, all the different manifestation of the body and the senses, that is basically because of our own desires, because of our own karmas. We go through this 8.4 million species because of all the different desires that we were having. So we are the all. That's the second part of the, I think.
So, okay, thank you. Very nice. So we cannot blame God for placing us in a situation that we may not like at this moment. Say that we may not be able to trace the cause. Krishna knows, right? Prabhupada explains Krishna knows, but we don't know. But that doesn't mean that some injustice has been done. Okay, if somebody is born with a silver spoon and somebody is hardly able to make the ends meet, it is because of the living entity itself is the cause. That's what it is. The living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So that doesn't mean that we become hard-hearted and don't do anything. Understand. What is the importance of understanding that what quality is subdued? What are some of the qualities? If we understand this knowledge, okay, then simultaneously we are trying to develop a spiritual quality and get rid of the anartha for our smoother progress in Krishna consciousness. So what anartha or what unwanted habit is addressed if this is known that, okay, I am placed in my life, the circumstances I am in, because I am myself the cause. Krishna has just supplied it. What quality is addressed? Who can tell me? What anartha we get rid of? There's 6 anarthas. There's anger, greed. What are the things? Anger, greed, kama, krodh, lobha. Kama is lust, anger, greed, moha, illusion,
Envy and
matsarya, envy, and what is the other one?
lust, Mataji, I think. No, you.
I said kama,
Right.
krodh, lobh, moha,
Mada Malsarya,
mada. What is mada? Madness.
madness.
Anya Mataji, what are you trying to say? You're muted. Anya
Pride.
Mataji, you're mute. Pride.
Pride.
Pride. Yeah. So what anartha, if I understand and I don't compare myself or my situation in life with, this person, that person, this person, or this person is so rich, they are so comfortably situated, or this person is so knowledgeable, or this person is so poor. I'm better Krishna conscious than that person. My chanting is better. Oh, I'm first initiated. Oh, that is not it. So what qualities addressed when they understand that living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyment in this world?
Pride, Mataji.
Okay, one is pride. Okay.
Illusion.
What? Huh?
Illusion and pride.
Illusion, very
Envy.
nice. Okay, what else?
Envy, Mataji.
Envy, very nice. What else? I would say to an extent lust also, right? Lust is like trying to enjoy our own senses without Krishna. Is lust. All those things are subdued. So next time, if a thought comes in the head, which actually comes every day, I guess, that why me? Why me? So many problems. Why me? Why me? Because I'm the cause. I cannot see the cause, but if I have faith, I can look at Krishna as a statement and take respite in it and then focus on something bigger. Okay, so far we have read that how Krishna is explaining that material nature and living entity, this is the quality. They are beginningless, but there are transformations going on in both in Prakriti and Purusha under the influence of 3 modes of nature. And then what is the cause of those transformations? Nature is the cause of all material activities and effects, which Ambika Mataji explained that if the nature, under the laws of nature, one has become a hog, then we have to behave like a hog. Can't do anything. But how did this person become a hog or this soul became a hog? We are responsible. We have to take accountability. Then we stop complaining and actually we develop a quality of gratitude towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For any relation to nurture, gratitude is important. You say, imagine if there is a relationship where the other person is always complaining to you. There's a whole list of, you come home and there's a list of like, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you never did this. I'm actually dealing with a child right now. She's like always saying that to the parent that you gave me a bad childhood, you never listened, you did da. So the person, the parent cannot like think only, like, what did I do? So if there is a gratitude, thank you for giving me what you gave me. But right now, this is my need. Isn't that a better way of talking than just you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this? And the reality is that we are just playing a role of a parent and a child. We are not even related, actually, like that. Okay, Purusha Prakriti stho hi bhunkte Prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangasya sad asad yoni janmeshu. So living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Okay, who is going to explain this? Only 4 people are talking, so I think I have to juggle between 4 of you. Sorry. Or 5 maybe. Or 4. I'm always talking. So 5, right? Anvya Mataji, living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life.
So,
enjoying the
as per, yeah, the mode in which one is, that's going to rule everything, what activity they are going to do.
Okay.
So, thus the living entity is either going to be enjoying or suffering.
Okay, very nice. So Krishna is re-emphasizing this is again a repetition that how living entity is the cause. So living entity is the cause, first of all, of acquiring the kind of situation in life that they have, various sufferings and enjoyment in this world. And then after getting that, then the sufferings or enjoyments are given under the spell of three modes of nature. That we will study further in chapter 14 and 17. But here he's making a statement that karanam gunasanga asya, the karan of mukte prakriti gyan jan gunan, karanam gunasanga. Guna means three modes of nature, sanga means associating. Right? With three modes of nature is the cause of all kinds of sad asat janma yoni janmeshu, cause of all kinds of good and evil amongst various species. Okay, but now this solves the question of us trying to figure out, in marine biology, I've heard, I've not seen, I've heard the study that how are the fishes communicating, right? How are the fishes communicating? What kind of environment are they? Is most conducive for their growth? And this, according to Krishna, this is all a waste of time, because everyone have their arrangements under the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the three modes of nature in the species that they're placed. So what does it really mean? Are we going to criticize these people? No, we're just going to say, okay, then actually that's not the goal of human life, because everybody is given that arrangement. Om Purnamada Purnamidam, right? Krishna has given that arrangement to everyone. Listen to Prabhupada's lecture, Isopnishad Mantra 13. Prabhupada explains it very well in that. So, so living entity follows the way of life according to the three modes of nature. Clear, right? So desire to
Yes.
enjoy forges the bond between Purusha and Prakriti. And association with material nature leads to good and evil amongst various species. So basically, that means that it is changeable. It is change is a very good news. Everything is changeable. I associated with some mode of material nature, so I ended up here. Now I can list the problems I'm facing in this particular life. Okay, is there a solution? Yes, it's a good news. Associate with material mode of nature in connection with the cause of material modes of nature, which is Krishna. It'll change. Okay, it'll change. We're not fixed. In human form of life, it is not fixed. Understood? You're tired? Deepti Mataji looks like she's gonna fall asleep, but it's a night time for you too, right? By the way, you look very pretty. Is it hot there?
Yes, Mataji. Now it's summer for us. So, in the southern
Right.
hemisphere.
But Shiva Srinath Prabhu is writing, by default, living entities acting based on modes of nature, but by association, one requires that nature, goodness, or passion or ignorance. So, a human form of life is changeable. We can change our position. We are not fixed. So that actually gives an impetus to work on our own self rather than comparing our position with somebody else. Okay, and that actually emphasizes the importance of setting a higher goal in life, right? Which actually is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra. What does it say? Athat Brahma Jigyasa. That's the goal. Athat Brahma Jigyasa का मतलब क्या होता है? What does it mean? Athat Brahma Jigyasa. It's a sutra. It's a code. What does it mean? Anya Mataji, yeah.
Therefore, I must be curious to know.
So Athat, very nice. Okay. Athat Brahma Jigyasa, Prabhupada explains is now. Therefore, now have Brahma Jigyasa or curiosity to know the Brahma. And then explains that that means when the statement is started as therefore now become curious, means it is a continuation from past sentence, which means that now means what? Having acquired a human form of life. So that's the goal. So the Shastras have given us everything. They have given us the goal. They've given us the way of acquiring the goal. And they have given us the resources. Everything is there. Okay, so far, Prakriti and Purusha is explained, but then one may be mistaken then with the fact, and this is a very common statement in today's world. So that means if whatever I'm going to do is what I'm going to get, what I'm going to desire is what material nature is going to give me. So why worship God? Because whatever I'm going to do is what I'm going to get. So where is God here? So to clarify that, Krishna is speaking this verse. Upadrishta anumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmiti cha api ukto dehe asmin purushaha paraha. Says, okay, it's not independent. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. Upadrishta anumanta. Upadrishta matlab hota hai overseer. Anumanta means permitter. Anumati dena, right? Bharta bhokta maheshwara. Bhokta enjoyer, maheshwara transcendental enjoyer. Who is that? Paramatma iti. Cha api means that that is Paramatma. Cha api also is present. Cha api means also. Ukto dehi asmin purusha para is present in this body and is called Purusha Paraha, not Purusha. Purusha Paraha, which is called as the super soul. Okay, so if you are explaining this, the atheist can also explain chapters 13 in the atheistic manner. And we can also have this question, right? After reading these verses, the material nature and Purusha or Prakriti ke beech mein kya chal raha hai? That the Purusha is desiring, Prakriti is supplying, and then the Purusha is responsible for its enjoyment and suffering in various species of life. Why need God? Well, God is needed because He is the one who is Upadrishta and Anumanta. And He's right there too. Okay? Who's known as the Super Soul. So one who understands this philosophy concerning the material nature. What philosophy? Material nature. Which is what? Purusha, Prakriti, or what? Material nature is what? What word?
Prakriti.
Prakriti. Then living entity is what?
Purusha.
Purusha. And the interaction of the modes of nature, which is Gunasanga, is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So regardless of his present position, if I am able to develop this quality throughout my life, I am liberated. So this is a byproduct, attain liberation. Will not take birth here again, which means in the material world. That doesn't mean that one is going to go Loka Vrindavan. It may be like one becomes merged in Brahma Jyoti, but will not come back to the material world. Okay, this is the importance, such a benediction given that you do this. Just understand this, what is material nature, what is Purusha, and how are they both interacting under modes of material nature. Then apply that every day in our life. Develop focus in our own life. It helps develop a lot of focus because all these unwanted things in the mind are subdued because of the power of knowledge by Krishna, right? So rather than looking at somebody else and tracking their progress or finding fault in their practice, become okay. I have a limited time too. My time is also running out. What am I doing? So the result of knowing the philosophy is liberation. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, living entity, interaction of three modes of nature. So knowledge is truly understanding the relationship between soul, super soul, and the result is liberation and return to the spiritual world. Okay. What is the purpose of knowledge? To understand how a living entity has fallen into the material world in a precarious condition. If we don't have this knowledge, then we will always trying to find happiness in this world. Well, you know, Andrea Mataji, and I was in India, I and her went to Vrindavan for one day, and she told me, "Idhar koi laddu nahi milne wale." She said that idhar koi laddu nahi milne wale. So we're not gonna get like sweet laddus in this world because it's always going to be a problem. So when we get what is expected, then we can focus on what I want rather than getting succumbed by the problem. How to understand our position is going to be the next topic. बहुत हो गया, or should I go on? 2 more verses. What is the consensus? I think just 1 hour is almost up, huh?
And let's finish the 2 verses.
Yeah, we can finish it.
Okay. So now we have understood. I hope we have understood what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, and how are they interacting under the modes of nature, and what is the responsibility of Prakriti, what is the responsibility of Purusha, and who is Purusha Paraha, or Supreme Person, which is Krishna, and how is he important here. Now we have understood the soul, which is actually being addressed as Purusha here. But now Krishna wants to talk about the super soul, which he speaks in verse 25 and I think 26 too. Dhyane atmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmanaha anye sankhena yogena karma yogena cha apare. So some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation. Dhyana atmani. Pashyanti means sees. Kechit atmana, others through the cultivation of knowledge. Atmana means that the knowledge or by the mind or anya sankhena yogena. No, I'm sorry. Kechit atmana anya sankhena yogena. This should mean Sankhya yoga means development of the knowledge. Karma yogena cha apare. So others through the cultivation of knowledge, still others through working without fruitive desires. Right, so everyone is trying to develop or perceive the super soul in some way or the other, but everyone is doing it according to their own inclination under the modes of material nature. No one is transcendental here. So some is perceiving through meditation, some is perceiving through cultivation of knowledge, and others through working without fruitive desire. So understanding through various yoga explains 2 classes of conditioned soul. So conditioned soul, okay, not liberated. Faithful in spiritual life, which is they're saying, okay, it's meditation or knowledge, or by karma yoga, which is working without fruitive desire. But atheists, agonists, skeptics are beyond the senses of beyond the sense of spiritual understanding, and it also includes those who establish the doctrine of monism. The devotees of the Lord are best situated in spiritual understanding because they know that beyond the material nature are spiritual world and Supreme Personality of Godhead who expands as Paramatma. Okay, so this Krishna has explained in many places elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita also. There are 2 classes of transcendentalists. I think 12th chapter verse 1 also explains, right? 2 classes of transcendentalists. He calls both bhaktas and monists also transcendentalists over there. Then Krishna also explains 4 kind of people who surrender to him in 7th chapter and 4 kind of people who don't surrender to him, right? Is there any other place where Krishna explains this? It hasn't come yet, but if you know, Krishna is explaining all throughout in Bhagavad Gita. Even in chapter 9, he explains.
Demigod worshippers.
Okay, very nice. And then he explains the atheist also again in
Yes,
chapter 17. Huh?
Yeah, he calls them abuddhaya.
Yes, even in chapter 12, right? He's saying that it is very difficult. The understanding of my understanding is very difficult. Klesha adhikarastesham. What is that verse? Klesha adhikarastesham. What is the verse?
Avyakta sakta chetasam.
Chetasaha. Avyakta sakta chetasa. So avyakta, one who is worshipping the avyakta, unmanifested or impersonal. Klesha adhikaras is very difficult. So he's saying it. This is repeating the same thing here. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. This is like Krishna has given so much of benediction in this particular chapter. First benediction we got, understand Purusha, Prakriti, modes of nature, attain liberation regardless of the present position. Okay. Here Shruti Fal is, you may not have an inclination to worship the Supreme Person, but you may have an inclination to hear about him from other authorities. And just by hearing about him, we develop the taste of going further, right? So I say, okay, if let's say that you want to go to temple, but you don't want to go alone, so you want to go with your friend. So you grab the hand of your friend and you want to go and tell your friend, let's go, it's Sunday feast and we should go to the temple. I don't want to go alone. And the friend is saying, I'm not interested, there's a nice movie released, let's go there instead. What are we going to do in the temple and sit in a lecture and do this? And you're like, the friend can do that, right? You're like, no, I'm going to drag you. So you take the hand of your friend and you drag them to the temple with you. The person had no inclination, nothing, but the person comes with you, sits down in that assembly, and then hears, and something clicks. And then from there, they start listening. That person, Krishna does not look at that how they came. Krishna looks at they came. Also transcend the path of birth and death. This shows the eagerness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to claim us back more than we are eager to go to him. Okay. That person also goes. We are not like that. We will study the whole chemistry, biology, physics, right? That how did you come? What is your intention? What are you going to do? But Krishna is like, you came. Welcome. So, okay, I think we'll finish this next time. In summary, I wanted to summarize the chapter even more thoroughly, but basics mein itna time lag gaya. Maybe I'll put my questions next time if you study again and come back. We summarized a little bit, and then we started with what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, and how are they interacting with each other, and what is the importance of super soul, and who is eligible to understand, because the goal is to develop Krishna consciousness. Who is eligible to understand Krishna consciousness? So regardless of the present position, if we are able to understand this interaction, we can, and we hear from the authorities, we can transcend the path of birth and death. There is no other way. You see, if there was a other way, Krishna would have told us, but there is no other way. Say there is only one way, and this is high time that we have to become convinced that this is the only way. Only thing is that I have to work on my desire to get out. If I don't have a desire, then no way will work. I think I'll stop here. Any questions, reflections, realizations, or corrections?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Madan Mohan Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you came?
Yeah, Mataji, actually, I was missing you for your classes. Sorry for the interruption. I have one question, Mataji. Actually, one day, my Bhakti Guru Nand Samaraj is having classes. He said that if we are Prakriti and Bhagavan is Purusha, so why we are doing marriages, as we are also a male part, but in spiritual we are female. So why we are marrying other girls, as we are already because Krishna is enjoying by with us. So I did not answer to him. So I want to know what this class also Purusha Prakriti related things are there. So that's the thing I want to have, if anything.
Okay. Why तो बाद में आएगा ना, पहले अंडरस्टैंडिंग करते हैं, ठीक है? Thank you for the question. So इसमें है कि Purush, in this verse, from verse number 20, Krishna is using the word Purush, right?
Yeah, Mataji.
Even in the verse, let me open this verse in here. ठीक है, प्रकृतिम पुरुषम चैवा, ये पुरुष लिखा है ना इधर प्रभु?
हाँ, Mataji.
So here, what does this Purush mean? Does it mean Krishna? What does it mean?
No, it's not meaning to Krishna, but Maharaj has
So what
described
does
that
it mean? पहले तो बताओ, if it doesn't mean Krishna, then what does it mean?
the living entities, Mataji.
Yes. So, okay, go ahead. What are you saying?
Actually, his motive was that Krishna is like Purusha and we are his Prakriti, eternal pleasure potency. He is created to give services to him. As all these gopis are doing in Vrindavan, we are having that mood to serve him. So why we are having marriages as we already
Yeah,
have.
yeah, jumping there, but I'm trying to bring you back to the ABC. Okay, we'll get there. I promise we'll get there. What I'm trying to say is that what you're saying is true. That Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, and he's actually called Purusha Paraha, the supreme
Yeah.
enjoyer, and we are to be enjoyed by Krishna. But that is a supreme truth. That's tattva. Okay,
Yeah,
but this is also true that I also have a tendency to enjoy the material nature. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, Mataji.
So I am also having a quality of a Purusha. It's not like a lady is not a Purusha. Everybody, all living entities, Krishna is saying all, even a dog or a cat or a bird or everybody is considered as Purusha here.
Yeah,
Purusha.
yeah, Mataji.
Because of the tendency to enjoy. But enjoy what? Material nature.
Yeah, Mataji.
Okay. So why we are managing? Okay, that's a very broad question because its answer is going to be different for a devotee and it is going to be different for a non-devotee. I'm going to focus on the devotee, okay?
Yeah,
Because
Mataji.
that's what I think you are. Not I think you are the devotee. Okay. So we always go back. So the desire is there. So if somebody has a desire to have a family, to have a husband or a wife, there is Krishna says in 3rd chapter, what can repression accomplish? What verse is it? What can